is what we do.
And speaking of that, I mean, you've been in the game for 20-odd years, 30 almost now. How long's it been?
89.
89, right on.
89.
Can you talk a little bit about your influences when you were getting into the lighting? Did you go to anybody? Did you steal looks from anybody?
Well, we all do that.
Right,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's common. I've said this a million times in interviews. My first and foremost influence was Candace Brightman, because I went to a million Dead shows.
Thank you, right.
And, Candace is a genius. She knows how to paint a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first got into moving lights, I wanted to paint those pictures too. So she was a big influence. The other guy who's been a huge influence, just somebody I respect a whole lot, and without trying to teach, has taught me so much about how to be a good lighting designer, is Patrick Dearson. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Patrick Dearson, but he does Jay-Z, he did R. Kelly, he was the production designer on R. Kelly. He's come to help me out, do a little programming on Phish from time to time when I needed a true genius beyond the geniuses that I already work with. And he's been a good influence lately in my later life. Patrick Dearson's been he's just a hell of a human being. Yeah. I mean, it's beyond lighting designer with him, just as a person. He won an award at LDI that comes with $500. He didn't take the money, he said donate it to this. He does that kind of stuff. He spends his own money to send kids from the ghettos of the Bronx who really want to be lighting designers. He'll spend his own money and send them to trade shows and say, go have a good time and learn. That just, for me, that speaks volumes. In this business, it's a selfish business. So to see a man like that doing those sort of things, really, I catch notice of those things.
Well, in that spirit of altruism and the people who have influenced you in the past, do you have any apprenti that you have under your wing?
It's interesting. I mean, there are literally hundreds of people have approached me in my life and said, I got into this business because of you.
Interesting.
And it's a pill to swallow, and I'm honored I'm beyond honored to hear people say that. I think it's the most wonderful thing that I've had an influence to that degree, to make career decisions. I don't even know what to say about that. I'm just so humbled by it.
Sure.
I think you're part of a good tradition. I got into the business because I'm going to Dead shows and really digging on Candace Brightman's work. I became more of a gearhead, and I say that with all modesty around you two, when I started coming to your shows 12 years ago, 13 years ago. So I don't know, it's important to me. It means a lot to me to hear that you're keeping up that tradition, the simplicity, what you say about the lighting and keeping it lesser and just doing more with it.
Absolutely.
I think that's amazing.
I'll tell you what, I saw a Rolling Stones show when Trey opened for the Rolling Stones, and it's in a big, huge stadium. Patrick Woodruff was the designer, and for a big, huge stadium Rolling Stones show, it didn't look like a lot. I mean, obviously there's a ton of gear, but probably could have been 3 times more gear, and it looked fairly beautiful, I thought. And I realized at that moment that you can do a stadium show and you don't need just the ridiculous amount of fixtures and trusses and everything else that I've seen at other shows. I don't want to, obviously everything, like Pink Floyd is beautiful, but there's a lot of gear out of Pink Floyd. I saw that in the mid-90s, So, I have a lot of respect for these designers who take a look at each unique situation and decide exactly what's necessary. Now, I'm not saying Patrick Woodruff's Rolling Stone design, it was full of 3Ks and 5Ks, and it was full of all those gigantic lights, which you need, but there were only 24 of them, not 80. Right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
A really well thought out rig, that Stones rig, I thought. So
that was more for a huge stadium tour, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm saying, it was sparse for a stadium tour. If you put that Rolling Stones rig in an arena, there wouldn't be any room for the band. You know what I mean?
Sure.
A lot of gear, but for a stadium, it had a certain feel of just enough. You know what I mean?
Sure.
At least that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
So
we should probably shut our mouths, man, and let you go back to.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been absolutely a pleasure.